Hello, and welcome to Conquering Finale. My name is Jason Lafredo, and today we are once again outsmarting smart shapes. We are going to be working with the Bend Hat tool and the Guitar Bend tool. And in the Smart Shape palette, it's down here on the right. It's the one that looks like an arrow pointing upwards. That's the Bend Hat, and then this is the Guitar Bend tool. All right. Now, the Bend Hat tool will work similarly to a slur, and really all we have to do is just double click on the note that we want to start the bend hat, and we get the bend. And then double click, and it puts it the other way since the stems are going up. It will always put the bend hat on the note side, and then there, just like that. All right. Now, we could, just like the slur, start the bend hat on one note and drag it to a note, or skipping over notes, just by double clicking, holding, and dragging, and do it that way. I don't think this is proper notation. I am not a guitarist, so my knowledge of guitar bends is a little bit limited, but I don't think that this is actually appropriate in any way. But it can be done if, for whatever reason, you need to. And also, we can add these to the tablature notes too. Again, I don't think this is correct, but that's available to you as well. Like I said, I am not a guitarist, so I have a rudimentary understanding of tablature, and but I do understand these tools a little bit, so bear with me a little bit. All right, and just like the slur, we can make some adjustments to these bend hats. In fact, if you grab the center main handle here, we'll get three other smaller handles, and this will work similarly to the slur. The end ones will actually just change sort of where it is uh, attached to the note, just like that. Same with the other one. And the center one, unlike the slur where there's three center handles here, there's only one on the bend hat, and this one will only go up and down. It will not do anything left or right. And it's just increasing the peak or decreasing the peak to make it flatter, just like that. All right. And unfortunately, unlike the slur, there is no reset for the bend hat tool. Remove manual slur adjustment will not do anything, but to get it back to normal, just delete it and re-add it. It's fairly easy to do that. All right. And then let's start talking about the guitar bend tool. Now this will be used for the tablature, and it works the same way. Just double click on the fret number here, and it will create that bend. And you'll see that it calculates it correctly from the D sharp to the E, or from 4 to 5 here. It's going up a half step, right? And if we double click the top note here, it will create one going down to the bottom note. All right. Now, normal notation has this bend to note hidden and this final bend back to note in parentheses. And that is actually how it is notated, but it doesn't appear that way at first until you redraw the screen. So just press Command D. Updating layout would also do the same thing. So again, just double click the fret, double click the fret to create it, and then Command U to update layout. All right, and you'll see that it puts the numbers for the bend on the same horizontal plane, despite the fact that the bends are coming from different strings, right? And so we can add some more here, and then add some more. Now this is more than a half step. This is a full step, and you see that it uses the word full, right? We do have the option of replacing the word full with the number 1, and it's actually just in the Smart Shape menu. We have in Guitar Bend Options. I'll talk about some of these other options later, but in the middle there's one here called Replace 1 with Full. If we just uncheck that, it will change these full back to the number 1 if you'd prefer to see it that way, all right? And then again, it will go more than a full step, and you'll see 1.5, just like that, 1.5. Update layout, and there you go. All right. And it will also, if you're working with the bends the other way, let's say we're going to add some bends in this way, you'll see that go down first and then up. And when we redraw, right, we'll get the parentheses here, and the bend to note will go away in the same manner, right? So one more time, and update layout, and it will appear appropriately, all right? And we can even do it on these little grace note situations here. If we double click the smaller note, we'll get the bend. Now I have seen notation where in this particular case, the bend would actually be vertical. We can change that, and it's easy enough. Just grab the main handle there, and when you do that, you get two handles at the ends. Again, the one towards the note will kind of change the attachment point. the one at the end will allow us to kind of freely move it in space whichever way we want to. But if we go, actually, let me just undo that so we don't. If we go just straight left until we get to vertical, we'll have a vertical line. And then just, if you want to, you can just grab that center handle to move the entire thing to right above that fret number. And you'll get a vertical bend just like that, if that's how you'd prefer to see that particular notation. We can also do some interesting things with a few more complicated situations like this one here. Create our bend hat tool just like that, and we can also do the guitar bend just like that, and update layout, and we'll get something similar, right? And of course, with layers, you just have to be careful that you attach the guitar bend to the correct layer. And I think you have to actually be in the layer, so I just switched over to layer 2 now, and double-click the 4 to get the bend. Update layout. And same thing with a bend hat here. Make sure that you're in layer 2 to attach it to the layer 2 notes there. And in this case, because there's a layer 2 and a layer 1, just like the slurs, it's getting put stem side instead of note side, which would conflict with the layer 1 notes. All right. Now, a couple other things about the bend tool. If you want to draw bends freely, the bend tool by default will attach to note heads, but if you change it to attach to beats, you can actually draw these bends pretty freely. Just double click and drag, and you can draw them any which way. You can draw them upwards, you can draw them downwards, as long or short as you need to, even vertical, or just like that. So you can have a little flexibility when that bend hat tool is set to attach to beats. You're allowed to sort of draw them very freely in that manner. But most of the time, we probably want to attach to note heads for that, so just keep that checked. And then finally, what's interesting and kind of cool about the bend hat tool, in my opinion, is that it interacts with the bend hat and the guitar bend tool sort of interact with each other. And what I mean by that is that if I were to enter some bend hats into the normal notation in this measure here, and let's just say I'm going to delete the notes right there. If I were to copy this music into the tab staff, and let's choose lowest fret 2, what you'll see is that it will, instead of duplicating the bend hat in the tab staff, it will appropriately duplicate the guitar bend notation instead. And I think that's kind of nifty. And it will work the other way too. So if I were to actually delete this, if I were working in tab to start and I copied and pasted this into the normal staff, you'd see the bend hat tool instead of the guitar bend notation. All right, so that's a kind of an interesting little feature of Finale and how those two tools interact with each other, right? So the bend hat and the guitar bend, that's how they work in conjunction with each other. All right, so I think I've covered it all. Let me just double check my notes. Yeah, I think that's it. So thanks for watching. Come back. The next video, we're going to start looking at the custom lines tool. And then from there, we'll start looking at customizing the default settings for some of these smart shapes. So thanks for watching. I hope this has been helpful, and come back for the next video.